Hi everyone, Flaming Footy here and welcome back to another YouTube video on the channel. And today guys, we are going to be considering our AFL 2022 3-game match reviews. Here we are for the final 3-game match reviews of round 22 of the 2022 AFL season. 3 more massive games, all of Sunday's footy action right here. So we're not going to waste too much time. I'm going to go ahead, hop right into things. So the games that we're going to be reviewing are Richmond vs Hawthorn, Sydney vs Collingwood, and Essendon vs Port Adelaide. 3 massive games, all from Sunday's footy action, and it started off at the MCG for Sunday afternoon footy between Richmond and Hawthorn. Alright, so the first game on Sunday was Richmond taking on Hawthorn at the MCG. Richmond 28-128, smashed Hawthorn 9-13-67. Richmond ended up winning by 61. They ended up smashing the Hawks, and it was a 6-1 first quarter. They ended up having a mediocre second quarter, and then in the third quarter is where things got going. They were kicking with a nice breeze, which made their kicks really nice. They had the wind with them, and yeah, that's where they exploded. 9 goals in that quarter, and that's where they won the game. I mean, at halftime, it was going to be tough for the Hawks to come back from halftime anyway, but yeah, in the third quarter, they just dealt all the damage in the world, did Richmond, and then the last quarter, they didn't have the best last quarter, but they still managed to hang on for victory. And it was all built off the back of a very impressive Tom Lynch, who kicked 8 goals, 32 disposals for Tom Mitchell, 134 fantasy for Lynch, 8 tackles for big boy McAvoy. Now to the player stats we go. 134 fantasy for Tom Lynch, 116 for Sicily, 107 for Presti, 105 for McAvoy, 104 for Mitchell. Goals behind, 8 for Lynch, by far the best by anybody else on the ground. He also had 18 disposals, 12 marks, and 1 tackle as well. Noah Cumberland got 2 goals, as did Gunston and Bruce, as well as Morris Rioli, Edwards, and Prestia. Disposals, 32 for Mitchell, 34 Coltrane and Prestia, as well as Sicily, 29 for Newcomb, 26 for Short. Now the marks, 12 for Lynch, 9 for Vlosten and Sicily, 8 for Hardwick. Tackles, 8 for McAvoy, 6 for Newcomb. Hit-outs now, 34 for Nankervis, 29 for McAvoy, 13 for Miller, 4 for Kazitsky. So now to the team stats we go, where it was an inside 50, 55-52, which the Tigers ended up winning. But it was their efficiency inside 50 that was really good, and that was the difference in the end, because they were really efficient going inside 50, up to 64% at one stage in the game. It did end up dropping back down to 53% later on. They won the hit-outs and the clearances in all areas as well, up by centre and stoppage by +6 both times. And then they had more uncontested and contested footy than Hawthorn. And they led for most of the game. Deserving winners in the end were Richmond. They made light work of this Hawthorn team. They are now in finals in season 2022. They're going to be a threat. They've got Essendon next week. They're going to be a real threat in finals. And whoever has to play them in the first week of finals is going to be tough for them, because Richmond, they are such a threat, and they end up smashing Hawthorn by 61. Alright, now to the second game on the Sunday. Sydney 11-11-77 beat Collingwood 7-8-50. It ends Collingwood's winning streak. They ended at 11. Geelong, though, they still go on and win 12 games in a row. So the Cats, their streak is still alive and yet to be beaten. But Collingwood, their streak was going to come to an end, and it was going to be tough for Collingwood to win in this game. And yeah, their threat looked under threat of being lost, and that is exactly what happened. And it was a really good first quarter to Sydney. Second quarter, not really a lot of action went on in this quarter, but then the third quarter, that's where things started to go Sydney's favour. They ended up getting out to a lead. Collingwood did cut the margin back, however, but it was a 4-3 quarter, and then in the end, Sydney win in the end pretty comfortably. But since half-time, they had the margin up and about at that just over 20-ish margin. So pretty much for most of the second half, it was really just a pretty simple ball game, which Sydney had control of for most of it. Collingwood, not going to lie, never really looked like coming back. Lloyd, Parker, Rowbottom all with the 8 tackles. 29 disposal for Callum Mills, 3 goals for Franklin, 129 fantasy for Callum Mills. But yeah, Sydney, they end Collingwood's streak right there. And this is good for their top 4 hopes. 129 fantasy for Mills, 120 for Parker, 108 for Rowbottom, 99 for Lloyd. Goals behind, 3 goals for Franklin, 2 goals for Heaney and Papley. Heaney was playing his 150th game for Sydney. 29 disposals for Callum Mills, 26 for Parker and Pendlebury, 25 for Warner and Dacos. Josh Dacos, that one is. Now to the marks. 10 marks for Fox, 9 for Mills, 7 for Parker and Howe. Now to the tackles we go. 8 for Lloyd, Rowbottom and Parker. 7 for Mills, 6 for Heaney and Hoskin Elliott. Hit-outs now, 31 for Cameron, 27 for Hickey, 19 for Cox, 3 for Reid, 1 for Johnson. Team stats we go now, where Sydney had more of the balls. Actually had more of the ball, more of the ball. 55 to 52 inside 50s in favour of Sydney, which was actually the same from the last game as well. And now, let's see, is there anything else? Free kicks were locked at 18. Collingwood had more hit-outs. Centre clearances surprisingly went in favour of Collingwood. Except the clearances, there was a big plus 13 actually in stoppage in favour of Sydney. They had more contested and uncontested footy than Collingwood did. Sydney took more marks inside 50, more contested marks, led for most of the game. In the end, were definitely deserving winners were Sydney. They do deserve this win. Now this keeps their top 4 hopes, and actually top 2 hopes, right alive now. They currently sit in second spot. Their top 2 hopes are well alive. St Kilda to come, and Collingwood and Carlton. Now, those 2 teams are going to be playing a massive game next week, Collingwood and Carlton. Real big elimination final, I think, kind of scenes is what's going to be happening next week. So, yeah, it's going to be a massive game between Collingwood and Carlton, but St Kilda and Sydney is just as big. And, yeah, there's going to be lots of games in a massive round 23. And I think almost, if you get what I mean, this was almost a bit of a preview of what round 23 is going to be like. Almost one of those games that would almost slot perfectly into round 23 as well. Could have been a Sydney and Collingwood. But I think these 2 teams are probably going to be teams that may end up meeting again in finals. I think we had a very good game here. In the end, though, Collingwood's streak comes to a close. They finished their streak at 11. Sydney have been playing very well in the past month, and they win by 27. Collingwood's streak ends, Sydney by 27. So now to the final game around 22, and we're going really well on time. 7 minutes, 37 seconds so far. But so far, round 22, it comes to a close with Essendon playing Port Adelaide, which I thought was going to be a really good game. But it didn't end up being that. Essendon 9-8-62 Essendon 9-8-62 get smashed by Port Adelaide 23 at 146. 146 is one of the highest individual scores by a team we've seen this year. Richmond got 165. Port Adelaide get 146. I think Geelong got 144. So there's been some big scores this year, and this was no exception. This was another big score that we have been able to see this year. And 5-3 first quarter. Looked like we're going to have a brilliant game, but then Essendon kick it behind. Port Adelaide kicked 7 goals in the second quarter, and the game's over at halftime. 23-74 the scores. The game is over. In the third quarter, not really much of a difference going on there. And then in the final quarter, Port Adelaide kicked 9-3 to go on and easily walk to victory by 84 points in the end. They were close to a 100-point win with Port Adelaide. 14 goals, that is. They win by way more than what Essendon could even put on the scoreboard. 32 disposals for Dan Houston, 4 goals for Sam Powell-Pepper, 136 fantasy for Dan Houston, 10 tackles for Dylan Shield. And Port Adelaide will be taking some good form into the showdown as well against Adelaide next week. 136 fantasy for Houston, 123 for Wines, 115 for Rosie, 114 for Butters, 112 for Finlayson, 109 for Ridley, 107 for Shield, 104 for Parrish, 102 for McGrath, 99 for Powell-Pepper. Goals behind as we go now. 4 goals for Powell-Pepper, 3 for Butters and Georgiades, 2 for Perkins, Marshall, D'Ambrosio, Finlayson, McKenzie. Lots of other players getting the 1 goal as well. Lots of players chipping in. 32 disposal for Houston, who ended up picking up a goal as well. 5 tackles, 8 marks. So some good numbers there for Dan Houston. Probably one of the best games we've seen him play. We've seen him play this year in Port Adelaide. 31 disposals for Ollie Wise, 30 for Ridley, 29 for Parrish, 28 for Rosie. Slotted well into his new midfield role. 27 for Shield Boat, 26 for Merritt. and McGrath. 25 for Butters and Finlayson. Now to marks we go. 10 for Laverde and Zirk Thatcher. 9 for Ridley and Amon. 8 for Martin, Bonner, Houston and Marshall. Tackles now. 10 for Shield. 6 for Rosie and Wines. 5 for Houston. Oh, sorry, we didn't even do the hit-outs. 32 for Draper, 14 for Nick Bryan, 6 for Finlayson, 4 for Peter Wright, 1 for Charlie Dixon, 1 for Todd Marshall, and 1 for Sam Power-Pepper. So now to team stats we go, where Port Adelaide had a heap more of the footy, went inside 50, 14 more times than Essendon. Essendon smashed Port Adelaide in the hit-outs 50-9. They won in the clearances as well. They won in all aspects of the clearances, surprisingly, Essendon. But then let's see what else have we got. Oh, but the marks inside 50, 7-20. Essendon gave up 20 marks inside 50 and they only got 7 to Essendon. Port Adelaide took 20 marks inside 50. That is amazing, marks inside 50. That is amazing. That is a very high number. Showing they were almost getting easy entries and easy shots on goal to get to 146. Yeah, that's a good number there. 117 marks for Port Adelaide as well. More contested marks. They led for the whole game. They were the deserving winners in the end after having an explosive second and fourth quarter to really seal victory. And this was a big, big, big win and a massive performance ahead of a massive showdown in round 23. Okay, so that is the round. Brisbane beat St Kilda by 15. The Dogs over the Giants by 5. The Crows over North Melbourne by 29. The Cats smashed the Suns by 60. The Demons over the Blues by 5. The Dockers over the Eagles by 24. The Tigers over the Tigers smashed the Hawks by 61. Swans over the Pies by 27. And Port Adelaide smashed the Bombers by 84. Round 23 sure does have some juicy matchups. Brisbane versus Melbourne on the Friday night, 4th versus 3rd. I think that's going to be really big onto how the top 4 formation will end up happening. GWS versus Fremantle was the first game on the Saturday, massive for Fremantle. North Melbourne versus Gold Coast doesn't have much of an effect on the finals. Geelong versus West Coast is still a massive game, even though the Cats have locked away the minor premiership, but this is still just going to be sending a 13-game winning streak into finals. Essendon play Richmond on Saturday night. Richmond are locked into the finals. This is just how much more danger can they possibly bring before finals. Go into finals with a very good form packed. Port Adelaide versus Adelaide, Saturday night showdown. Should be an interesting game, this one. 11th versus 14th. But again, Port Adelaide, they're going to be taking some stunning form in. But also, so are Adelaide. They've won 3 games on the trot. Hawthorn versus Western Bulldogs is the first game on a big Sunday. This game is going to be big for the Western Bulldogs. And then Carlton versus Collingwood. Big game. Big game. Massive statement. Big game. Both teams have some big stuff to do here. Collingwood, if they win this, they can potentially go back into the top 4. And if Carlton end up winning, well, then they'll lock away their spot in the top 8 and make sure Collingwood don't get into the top 8. Into the top 4, should I say. And then, let's see, the final game of the round is going to be between St Kilda versus Sydney at Marvel. And look, I'll tell you, that isn't the biggest of the games. But it's still going to be a pretty big game to whether Sydney get a home qualifying final, top 4, stuff like that. Now the ladder, here's how things are looking. The Cats clear top of the table. They can just go to 72 points, sit there nice and comfortably. The Swans currently sit in second on 60 points, who are only a few percent ahead of Melbourne in third. And then Brisbane and Collingwood are in 4th and 5th. Fremantle are in 6th. And then Richmond are in 7th. Carlton are in 8th. Big against Collingwood. Now, there is still a way they can make the 8 if they don't win, and even if the Dogs do win, but the Dogs cannot win by a lot. Like, say, for example, the Dogs have to win by, 1 point, and the Blues have to lose by, 1 point. So, really, there's not really going to be a lot in it. I think, regardless if Carlton lose, or if the Doggies win and Carlton lose, Carlton will be out of the 8, which will be a bit of a surprise, I think, for Carlton. I think they should have locked it away a couple of weeks ago, but no, still open, still going down to the final rounds, and that is the rest of the ladder. Now, one more thing before we finish off this 3-game match reviews. It's not normally often included in 3-game match reviews. We're going to be having a look at the Coleman medal. So the Coleman medal is well and truly still up for grabs. There's only 3 goals separating Curnow and Cameron. The only 2 players that can win are Curnow and Cameron now. So it's going to be a big battle with them two. Curnow has 62. Cameron has 59. The Cats, keep in mind, we're playing the Eagles. So there could be some easy goals there. But whether they go to Cameron is a different question. Curnow, his team will be up against the Pies. That's going to be tough. It's going to be tough to get goals against Collingwood. So I think it's going to be Curnow or Cameron. And I think Cameron is still a red-hot chance to win it. And, I think with the fixture, it could be Cameron's medal. He could walk away with the Coleman medal. Either way, though, it'll be going to Curnow or Cameron, so it's going to be really interesting to see who can win it. And who knows, both these 2 players might have quiet weeks. Tom Hawkins and Tom Lynch are equal on 4th, but again, it's down to the top 2. Cameron and Curnow. What have you got in round 23 to come? But there we have it, another big round. It just ends like that. But round 23 is sure to produce all the thrills and the excitement. So round 23, what have you got? Centre stage. Starts Friday, 19th of August. And will end on Sunday, the 21st of August. And then we will have our finals fixture announced. And oh boy, it is going to be a massive finals to come. So next round is going to be massive to where teams are finished. We still don't have any set in stone positions except for the Cats on the top of the table. That's all we know. And it's going to be interesting to see how the last 9 games of the season play out. And every team has 1 more game left to go, which is going to be critical. Top 4, top 8 hopes. All is on the line for the final game of the year. Thank you guys all so much for watching. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe and hit that notification bell. So then you guys will never miss another video on the channel. Thank you guys all so much for watching. So bye everyone. Flaming Footy out.